Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro, and we're gonna review Us because we've finally seen it twice, and wouldn't you say that it's like literally a movie that you can't have an opinion on until you've seen it twice? So I actually might say
I would say so because my opinion changed a lot from the first time I saw it.
My opinion changed as well. I like it a margin more. I think you like it like significantly more. So
Spoilers abound. Spoilers abound.
Because we're going to have a hard time discussing our opinions if we don't spoil it. And it's been out for a week, so you probably should have seen it by now anyway.
If you want a recommendation, just freaking see it. Now go see it, now come back. And now you're back. Welcome back. I truly don't know how you can totally get the vibe of the movie unless you watch it again, know that she's the double, and see that every motivation she has actually really works when she's the double. And that the themes of the movie come together when you realize she is the double.
Yeah, I thought the first time I watched the movie, I was like, well, this movie is like a thing that adds on in the end what it's about. But then when you watch it again, it's about that the entire time because you know who she really is, and therefore she is dealing with it the whole time.
I'm just going to give you my analysis right now because this is why I feel that this movie is a great movie. The movie is 1000% about how the other is just us, okay? The shadow version of us is an uncultured version of who we are. The thing we're afraid of, the id, is literally just a version of us that hasn't had society to nurture it.
That's actually a really good way of putting it to you. I'm going to give you
thank you so much. No, I'm not kidding. Like, by the end of this review, I'm going to convince you that the movie's... You're going to bump your rating up to a 9. I'm not kidding.
Well, we'll see about that.
No, I'm actually, like, I'm positive.
Well, I still have to tell you what I...
Yeah, but I'm positive. I know what your reservation is, but I'm positive that, like, I'm going to actually convince you that I'm right.
It's not... No, I don't think you're wrong.
I know, I understand. I'm just saying, man. First time I watched it, I thought, okay, so there's a lower and an upper, and the lower, and these two are separate things. The government separated them and made a soulless version that controls the upper version, which has a soul. But no, what is really said in the movie is that they are two parts of the same soul. They're tethered, so the lower seeks to be free. The upper has the freedom, and they have the nice clothes and the nice lifestyle, the boats. Nice, good one. The lowers desire the same thing. They want their freedom. So there's these liberation references to the Bible where, like, these people, even though we see them as, like, being these savages, being, like, the other, being these things that we're afraid of, they want freedom. And they are entitled to freedom. So the second time you watch this movie, you can't want these people not to succeed in a way because you know that they have a right to their freedom. And that's all they're trying to do is take it back and be seen. And that's why they have to kill their doubles, is because there's one soul shared between the both of them. They can't be free unless they kill the other person.
What, wait, I don't know if I buy your interpretation of the soul as being, like, shared between them.
No, but that's what is said. I'm telling you. Like,
that's what is said.
When Lupita's character is giving the monologue at the end, she says that the only way that they could create two people is if they share a soul. It's not. I didn't
remember her saying
person.
That.
No, but I just watched
shared?
it. Yeah, I was paying attention because I needed to hear this because I was thinking if the movie makes it so that one has a soul and one doesn't, then I don't appreciate that. But so I was really listening for her to say that, and I was gonna say that it was a flaw if they made that distinction, but they did not. The Elizabeth Moss putting on the makeup is literally a microcosm of the movie. The upper is just a nicely polished version of that. Okay? You have the id, and you have the version that, like, comes out and goes to the beach and is happy with their friends and socializing. But, like, what's underneath it is just this, like, weird, messed up thing that we're all afraid of. That scene with Elizabeth Moss putting on the makeup is like, fantastic, I think.
I agree with
and
that.
it's one of the best, like, more scary and unsettling scenes in the movie. But anyway, Cole, why don't you address my interpretation of this movie?
I don't have a problem with your interpretation of the movie, and it actually does make me appreciate the movie more.
Yeah, because the movie works.
I agree that it works, and the second viewing I actually thought that it worked. And another point that I'll add that we've discussed before is how well the lower characters can very much represent, like, the prison industrial, like, shit.
Yeah.
How they are the prisoners of society, and the suits that they wear look very much like prison suits. I think that's all you need to confirm that theory.
Yeah. It's an allegory for America. You create the monster by pushing those people down and not giving them these privileges. And so that's what the monster really represents, is part of America. It's part of America that's, like, tethered to us. They're just people who want liberation.
it does a really good job of illustrating how, like, people don't want to believe that, like, these people are related to them or have anything to do with them, but the movie shows you that you are, in fact, like, tethered. As a part of America, like, there's a part that we ignore of America that actually does exist and contributes to America being what it is, which is what the movie shows. And the nightmare of the movie, the horror premise, is America reckoning with realizing that this part of society exists and rebelling almost righteously against itself. So
exactly, they have a proper motivation. They want to be freed.
Right. The metaphor of the carnival is like distractions, flashing lights,
whoopee, fun.
And right underneath it is, what was it in the beginning? It was a Native American thing.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
And then they changed it to a wizard thing. Yep. So that's like
we're repressing
taking over the reservations kind of thing, pretending that part doesn't exist. But then like all the flashing colors and distractions of the carnival is like what America is. It's meant to entertain you and like distract you. Yeah, I think that this movie works a lot better than I initially thought that it did on a thematic level.
And I think people who have reservations about it on the first time should just see it again.
Yeah.
It's like totally reasonable for you to have those reservations, and I understand them because I have
even
them,
a third
just watch
time,
it again.
Maybe. Think about 2001: A Space Odyssey and the way that when that movie came out, I mean, I wasn't around, but I'm sure that people didn't know what the fuck
we're comparing it to 2001.
I'm not trying to compare it to like 2001 and saying it's like one of the fucking greats or whatever. I'm just saying that movie has become talked about so much that like the information that you can gain from like the existing discussion adds to your experience of the movie. Like if you or I didn't read about the movie after first watching it and say, okay, these are things that I maybe missed and maybe I'll think about them the next viewing. Like it's interesting to think like if I wasn't able to read anything, how much else would I have gotten? But I think there's something cool about that at the same time, that this is a movie that's like being discussed and like peeled, Jordan Peele, apart by the public. It seems like he just loves to make that kind of movie. He's like really happy with the way that people are doing that and the way that they did it with Get Out. And he's like even making like more like kind of hidden Easter eggs in this movie than he did.
Jordan Peele freaking loves that. That's his thing. Like people are saying he's the horror master or whatever. More than that, he's the master of making movies where he wants you to like take everything apart and like use it as part of your analysis.
And there are so many elements of it that are just like so unique to it, like the bunnies or the scissors, the red suit. A great like cultural like lexicon can be developed around this movie. Just
like Get Out.
You'll see this movie be referenced. Like
no, I agree.
People will just recognize images from this movie, which is just really cool.
Yeah, 100%. Like the Hands Across America thing. Like anytime anyone brings it up for the rest of history is like gonna reference us. It's so unique. I think that's the bottom line. It's just a unique movie. There's so many ways that people will remember it and like reflect on it, and symbols that will resonate with people and with like the culture, and just in the way that Get Out did. So I don't think he's disappointing at all from Get Out.
I would like to get into a couple issues that I have with the movie.
Please.
You say that you don't have any.
Please,
issues.
we have to get into the
my
horror
issues are right. That's actually where my issue lies more. I think that what the movie does best is like being thematically like interesting and coherent, and like all that is great. I'm not going to call him the master of suspense. That's what I will say. I wouldn't say there's much that's suspenseful about it. The best scene in the movie, the best horror scene, is when the family comes to the house and they're outside and they're breaking in. It's actually really scary to me, and I thought that the anticipation was like really well done. Something else I just like about both of Jordan Peele's movies is how our characters are not stupid. They react like we might react, which is very uncommon in horror movies. But I'm not done with my point. A lot of the movie was very like combative and like action-y, so there's like a lot of wrestling and like, someone reaching for a thing before the other thing can like, bop them on the head or something. And to me, I think that overall this is all like entertaining and it's fun and better done than most movies, but I will say to me that it was a little exhausting because it was so frequent, and the monsters were kind of laid out on the table very early, leaving not much suspense to me. So like thinking back to other horror movies like maybe A Quiet Place, which I thought is just completely like suspenseful, grabbing your seat pretty much the whole time. I wouldn't say that I got that from Us.
I would not defend him as the master of suspense. I would defend him as the master of fun creepy, like weird, maybe even crawling your skin kind of thing.
I love like the weird shit. I don't know if it crawls my skin though.
No. Yeah, the weird stuff, and also like the themes that resonate on like a deeper, more disturbing level. Okay, a lot of this movie, it's like it's not horrific, it's not suspenseful, it's almost like just fun and thrilling.
I don't even know if it's like, to me, I don't even know if it was that thrilling. Like it was just kind of like watching stuff.
But I also realized though that he has to entertain you.
Right.
And
well, yeah,
so
but
he does it. I think he did it really well. The whole chasing that happens in like the first part of the second act is not my favorite part of the movie. Because I don't think it builds that much on the themes as much as some other parts of the movie, and those are my favorite parts. But that's not that much of the movie. Like
most of the middle section of the movie didn't have like that much like substance for me to pull from.
It didn't have as much substance, but I still thought it was like a fun way to explore the characters and to get to know the doubles.
And I thought that the aspect of the movie being like political and, you know, representing like the prison system or the underbelly of society was stronger than the aspect of it representing a part of yourself, which was referenced to because like the part where Elizabeth Moss is like putting on makeup and like faking her crime, which I thought was excellent. I would have liked to see more moments like that and more moments of the characters looking like they're actually grappling with some part of themselves that they don't want to acknowledge, because I would say that Lupita is, but most of the other characters are just kind of like defeating what's in front of them, and I thought that it could have been more compelling if they felt like they were like really dealing with something that was pertaining to the themes, and for that reason I felt like a lot of the action was just a little bit flat.
I would actually agree with you. Like, I would give you that one because I felt that way in the first one, and I still kind of feel that way. That it's like Winston Duke's character doesn't have that much like actually going on with the double. It's really just he's running away. It's just chase.
Yeah,
right?
and he kills it very
It's
quickly.
Purely chase.
I love Winston Duke though.
Yeah, no, he's amazing in it. And that's the case with all the characters, really, except for Lupita Nyong'o's character. And I actually thought that the white couple's doubles were creepier because they seemed to play off of their personalities in like more of a way that got under my skin. Whereas like the other doubles,
like
I didn't feel that way as much.
The daughter's like character is that she can run.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
but also the movie has to indulge in like the horror premise, and it has to deliver these doubles as being things that we want to run away from that are creepy. Okay?
Yeah, I don't think that it's at odds with that. It's a different movie in so many ways. I actually don't want to compare it to Get Out that much because of the way that it reveals information. It's just so different. But I will say I do prefer like how Get Out is kind of this slow build and then a release, as opposed to what this movie does, which I think it flatlines through the middle a little.
Yeah, I actually thought that this was more of an emotional scene where like at the end when she sees the sun and the sun's looking at her not knowing if she's like a double or not. I thought that was like actually one of the more unsettling parts of the movie. This movie has a lot of scenes that I think are actually really great with being horror scenes. My favorite one is the whole scene in the White Family's house. I mean, the way that everybody comes out and gets killed at the same time was like, oh, like I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all. And that scene's creepy as hell. The way that like Tim does he does the got ya and then he does the fake handshake. That was so good.
I love that.
Tim Heidecker in this movie. I watch Tim and Eric a lot. I've seen every episode of Tim and Eric. I love Tim and Eric, and what he brought to the performance, and I think this makes Jordan Peele a fantastic director of actors, because what he brought to the performance was like this really creepy, like the way that his character behaves. It's like it's trying to be silly and it's like goofy, and he's embracing it with the double. Like the double, it adds like this kind of depth to it where it's like it interacts with your personality in a way. It's like it's part of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody had that a little bit. I would say the least developed character of anybody is the daughter.
Yeah, I mean, all she does is run. Yeah, because I think the son. No, I'd say the Winston Duke character was
but the Winston Duke's character, like his double felt like very beastly, and that's kind of who he was too. He was like a little brutish and like
that's true.
I don't know.
And the daughter was just like creepy smile.
I was surprised how well Tim and Elizabeth Moss's characters.
They were to
play. I was surprised.
Both of them gave like really good performances. I thought like great supporting performances, and I'm saying that about a guy who I thought I would be distracted in any movie that he's in where he's not doing Tim and Eric stuff, and I am totally wrong.
The scene where he like hops down the stairs and like does that weird shit, like that needs to be a GIF so I can watch it and as much as I want. And his noises are great too.
Yeah, his noises.
Yeah, there's a lot of like fun stuff about this movie too, and there's a lot of funny stuff. And I really appreciate, again, how Jordan Peele blends comedy and horror is
fun,
pitch
creepy,
perfect.
Blend. The blend is Jordan Peele. The blend is his style. The use of music in that scene with Tim was like really amazing too.
Which like from the
like the
Ophelia.
having the Ophelia like playing the songs and everything like that. Amazing use of music. Really amazing. And the song in the end.
I thought there
amazing
was,
use of
I thought
music.
there was kind of something too, like how Ophelia plays "Fuck the Police," because hear me out, weird little niche interpretation here, but that was Ophelia's double. I don't know, because the calling the police and "fuck the police" are opposites, and "fuck the police" is kind of the mantra of the underbelly of society, and the police are so it actually has like a weird thing there. And would you like?
I don't know.
I think it's worth. I think it's worth a
I get what you're saying, but I also think the use of like 5 on it and "fuck the police" it harkens back to like that whole Reagan era where we had this idea that everything was great and fine, but at the same time there was a war against poor people, and there was the whole like redlining and practices that were happening post civil rights movement that people were totally ignoring. I think the movie like does a few things to harken back to that, and one of them is using like the Thriller Michael Jackson shirt. Because that's essentially what Michael Jackson was. There's an O.J. Simpson reference in the movie. There's a lot of stuff.
Have we reevaluated our stance on, from the last video, if the movie's getting nominated for stuff?
So Lupita gives a great performance because her double's so disturbing, okay? That's why she gives a great performance. And then there's some scenes like when she's interacting with it in the end and she's like killing it that were great. There are a lot of scenes when she like truly shines. That being said, I don't think she will get nominated for an Oscar for this, personally. I do not think that.
The double performance is so weird.
It's going to be hard to see it as an
Oscar clip is her going... like, it's just...
No, it's going to be her going like...
hard to see.
It's going to be her going...
She does a lot of weird shit in this movie. I love that Jordan Peele gets this weird shit. He milks the weirdness.
But she was so
actors.
committed at it. Like, that's her. She gave it a lot. Could she get nominated if people are like so really excited about this movie? Like maybe. I'm not saying no.
Out of the conversation.
I'm just saying I don't think it'll happen.
It's kind of interesting that it has a 7.4 on IMDb because that's not that high. Get Out has a 7.7 on CinemaScore. This movie had a B, and I checked that Get Out had an A-. I don't think that this movie is like the rousing crowd pleaser that Get Out is.
It's harder to like this movie on a first watch. I think it's harder to appreciate the movie on a first watch, and so a lot of people are going to watch this, like, let's say they get a screener in the mail, right? They're going to be like, yeah, that was a good movie, but I'm just kind of confused.
Yeah, but they probably will see it twice, because it's so widely seen
now. Will they?
The end of the year? I don't know. But if they do, I think it obviously helps. It's unlike other Oscar contenders, the way that people are analyzing this movie, and they're leaving the theater so, like, puzzled and confused and trying to piece it together. It just is strange, and it's such a horror movie, like we said before. It really is a movie that to enjoy it to its maximum potential, you really have to like get into it and like want to think about the movies you're watching. And maybe a lot of people aren't like that. I think that Get Out was more enjoyable on a surface level. I mean, like we were saying, I think it's just a little too divisive of a movie and leaving a lot of people too puzzled.
We could speculate on, maybe it'll get this, maybe it'll get that, but my opinion is that it just won't get. It might not get anything. Yeah, that's what I truly think.
It could get shut out,
and that would be my prediction.
I don't think it would be deserved. I don't think it would be deserved if it got shut out, but it could happen. I think it's a great movie to think about, and I think it works in themes really well. And you actually did convince me to bump up my score a little bit. I had it originally at like an 8.5, and now I'm going to put it at a 9 because the way that you phrased your interpretation, I think, was really excellent, and maybe the best on YouTube. I mean, but also you're good at explaining
best
things,
on YouTube.
You're good at explaining things to me.
I speak your language?
Hopefully, you speak my language, because a lot of people on YouTube are just muddling around.
They don't really happen,
but I want to know what it means.
Top 10 ways that Jordan Peele's Us could mean this.
Yeah, like
top 10 things that Jordan Peele's Us could mean. You have to look at like what the movie's really suggesting, and I think it's pretty obvious that when you come to the right conclusion, when you see the light, which is my interpretation, then you'll understand, like you'll know, and everything will make sense to you, and you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah.
I already knew a lot of the stuff that you were saying. I think that there are like a couple loose threads that, like especially the part with the soul that I didn't pick up on.
Yeah,
but it's just brought it together a little more.
Yeah, they're details that are clear.
Details that were pretty crucial. But again, I don't think it's a perfect movie, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Total 10 out of 10 for me. Total 10 out of 10.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.